for folks in regard to where they can access curbside takeout, delivery, as well as special deals from our local restaurants. The City of Moscow stepped up really quickly, partnering with local restaurateurs as well as downtown Main Street by providing some access to curbside in a really swift and efficient manner. And because of that, the local culinarians have pivoted in order to accommodate those needs. We have information listed on our website at moscowchamber.com in regard to multiple different outlets, but specifically to this webinar, our dining guide and our grocery store updates have been definitely some of our most present and popular items that we've provided the general public. The dining guide specifically provides a listing of businesses that are open. So if there is a business that is not listed on this dining guide, unfortunately they are temporarily closed. However, we really look forward to elevating them when all of this passes and we get back to normalcy. But different restaurants are offering not only curbside, but some are offering delivery options, and there's a full encompassing list of those that are doing that. We were updating those lists on almost a daily basis at the beginning of this, or at least starting in mid-March, and now we are updating those about once a week. And so the most recent flyer was updated on Friday, April 3rd, and a lot of things can change within a week. However, we are hoping that the baseline that we've started will be helpful for folks. So if you don't follow us on our Facebook or our Instagram platforms, if you could do so, that would be great. And it's also a nice outlet for folks to find information. But on our homepage at moscowchamber.com, there is a COVID-19 tab, and you can find that information there. In regard to our local grocery stores and what they're offering, the majority of them are offering hours for vulnerable populations, and that is specifically listed there for those grocery stores and hours, and then also if they're offering pickup options. And so I just found out recently that the Moscow Food Co-op is doing online orders. I knew they were doing curbside, but they have a nice platform set up. So we are, our office is currently closed. We are monitoring our phone at 882-1800. One of the best ways to get a hold of us is through our email, and truly my email or just a generic email is the best one to access. There's two. One is info@moscowchamber.com, or my email is director@moscowchamber.com. And really what I want folks on the webinar to know is that we are a resource for you. We are still a resource for you, even though our doors are temporarily closed. And we want to make sure that we're still providing value and information to those that need this in such a critical time. I'd be happy to open the floor for any questions specifically for the Moscow Chamber of Commerce, if you have any at this time.
We haven't had any questions that have come in yet, Jenny. So thank you. If there's some at the end, we'll definitely talk about that. And as we go through the slideshow, you are going to be able to see some of the resources that Jenny referred to. With that, I'd like to second ask Nikki Woodland if she would like to share her screen and talk about how we can support the restaurants in our community. So Nikki, you'll just need to unmute and undo your video.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but we can't see you.
And saying unable to start video.
Oh,
There
that's
we
too
go.
bad. We saw your video.
There.
Okay, great. Here you are.
Yeah.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm still pretty new to this Zoom stuff. And yeah, okay. So I am Nikki Woodland, and my husband and I own Nectar, and I'm the head chef there. Nectar's been open, actually, yesterday was April 7th, so that marked 13 years of being open in Moscow. And obviously, this is a very unprecedented and challenging situation that we're all in, and we've just been trying to adapt basically just day by day as new information has come in, and new regulations and that whole thing. So it's been a real challenge trying to figure out just how to function as a restaurant with obviously without having people in the dining room. So having to switch to just doing takeout and delivery was very challenging, but we decided we wanted to do that instead of close, because it would be even harder, I think, to start all over again and pick up where we left off when this is all over. So yeah, we've adapted, and so far so good. It's definitely, our sales are down about 75% from what they normally are. But of course, our costs are down as well. We're obviously not ordering what we used to order. We've condensed our menu a little bit so that we don't have such a high food cost. And, there's just other costs associated with being open and having people in your dining room, like linen napkins and, just a bunch of other things that we obviously don't need right now. But our biggest thing is the labor. And we really want to make sure that we keep as many employees as we can. And we haven't reduced anyone's pay. We've obviously reduced the hours that they're working, but so far, I think we've only I've laid off 3 people in the kitchen, and I think Brett has laid off about half the servers, so maybe about 5 or 6 servers, which the timing of this was a little bit convenient, just because a lot of the servers were already gone on spring break. So we just said, stay home if you can. You don't need to come back to work. So we've kept our best servers and our best staff, and hopefully they can make enough money to stay on with us. But that will be the biggest challenge, especially kind of with the programs that the government has offered, because for a lot of our employees, it makes more sense for them to stop working and collect unemployment. So that's a really hard line to balance there, whether they stay working or just collect unemployment. So we really want to retain the good employees we have, because we don't want that extra challenge of having to rehire a bunch of staff when this is all over. So that's one of our other challenges. But as far as what the community can do to support us is what they've been doing, which has been amazing so far. Just ordering food to go, ordering food to be delivered, doing gift certificates is a big one. And we're offering 20% off of all of our gift certificates and 10% off of our menu items, just to incentivize people to keep ordering food, and to say thank you for the support as well, because we really appreciate it. We live in an amazing community where people are really supportive and want to make sure that everyone's doing as well as they can, and it really means a lot. It's not just helpful for our bank account, but it also is hugely helpful for our spirits right now. So we're thankful for that. And let's see, another challenge we've had is our food supply line. There's a number of items that I order for Nectar that are special order. They come from smaller vendors, like our nice cheeses for the cheese plate, and a number of items. So they've stopped delivering. So I've had to cut those off of the menu, at least some of those things. So that's been a little bit hard to work with. But yeah, I think we're just gonna keep trucking, and hopefully things go well. Another nice thing that we're allowed to do is cocktails to go. So that has helped immensely as well. The state of Idaho has said that you can do cocktails to go. And so that's the hard liquor drinks, which is great for us because we do craft cocktails. We can't deliver those, but you can call in an order for a craft cocktail and come pick it up. And then beer and wine, we can deliver. So if someone wants to order that, we can deliver that. I see I have a little question down here, so I'm gonna, hi Iris. It says, Nikki, can you describe what measures are you taking to keep to-go food free from possible coronavirus? Yes, thank you. So we are very stringent on our rules for our staff. So even before this happened, you could ask any member of our staff and they would tell you that Brett is he's a little OCD when it comes to germs and cleaning and all that stuff anyways. So it's a common thing in our restaurant to say, wash your hands. We literally say it all the time. And so now we're obviously just going a step further with that kind of thing. The washing the hands is mandatory after 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, staff has to wash their hands no matter what they're doing. Obviously, if they touch anything that has come in from outside, they're washing their hands. People who are delivering food are, well, they're not always wearing masks now because they're hard to get. So I have ordered some and we're waiting for them to come in, but some sort of face covering for people delivering food, and they have gloves. And the servers working the door wipe down the pens after every transaction if they're still using their credit card and paying at the restaurant. Then we wipe down all the pens. Yeah, we're just making sure that everything is completely sanitized and safe. So did that answer the question sufficiently?
Yes, absolutely. Nikki, could you talk about how you've partnered to help Hunga Dunga at this time?
Yeah,
in terms of...
Sure. We just decided for Brett and I, for ourselves, it was important to us to support as many local businesses who we know are struggling in this. And so we've decided to only carry Hunga Dunga beer right now for our beer option, just to, give Graham some extra business too. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, here that I picked up tonight at Nectar.
Oh, good.
With dinner, which is awesome. Yes, so I got to use your new online system, which was great.
Good. I was going to ask how that works.
To go through the web. Really nice to be able to pay online and not even have to do an in-person transaction. That was really great.
Yes, and that's something that we just finished developing. So that was another challenge too, is shifting all of that, because I'm not a tech person. So it took us a little bit to get that going, but I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, it did. So we have one more question before we go into our do the cocktails.
Yes, so they come in. They come in glass containers, and we do craft cocktails, and we wanted to keep our Nectar brand as far as quality. So they're in cute glass jars, and we seal them. There's like a cork stopper, and then we shrink wrap them and seal them with a heat source. So they are completely sealed, and yeah. The best containers we could find are kind of big, so it's not a single serve cocktail. It's more like for 2 or 4 or one person that just wants mini cocktails. I have another question that says, curious if you are sourcing from local farmers in the area. So a little bit, yes. So we still get some cheese from Brush Creek Creamery right now. As you know, this time of year, there's not a whole lot we can get from local farmers, but we were doing spinach from WSU Farm. They had spinach, but we actually stopped doing that when we condensed our menu. We took the spinach salad off the menu. So right now it's just the cheese, but we're anxious to start using local farmers again when they have product in.
Great. Thank you, Nikki. So if you have other questions for Nikki, we'll go ahead and answer those after our other presenters. So our next presenter is Amanda Argona, who is our community events and farmers market manager for the Moscow Farmers Market. So Amanda?
Great. Well, thank you, Colette, and everyone else that's on this panel this evening. And I appreciate being invited to speak about the farmers market. Specifically, I was asked to talk about the tentative opening of the farmers market and options for vendors to sell and how our community can continue to participate in the market. And I hope folks aren't picking up too much feedback. This is very appropriately timed as we're talking about food, and my partner is cooking in the background. So if you hear odd noises, it's probably what's going on. So one of the first questions that we've been getting from vendors and from the community is if there will be a Moscow Farmers Market this season, and the answer is yes. It's just going to look a lot different than in previous years. A lot of folks know our market as sort of the social glue and fabric of Moscow, and it's a place where you can go downtown, support a small business, sort of waltz through market, pick up maybe some grocery items and maybe a few treats and other presents and trinkets and that sort of thing. And we're really focused on promoting the market as a safe avenue for the public to come and participate in. And at this point in time, we've drastically reduced the types of vendors that will be able to participate when the market will be open on Main Street. At this point in time, we do have a launch date of the first Saturday in June, which I believe is June 6th, for that normal physical market on Main Street. And then we are currently exploring an online platform for our vendors to opt into that would potentially be launched earlier than that first weekend in June. And that would be in conjunction with a curbside pickup drive-through market. I haven't found a good acronym for that, so if anyone has ideas, I'd be really appreciative. But the goal is to encourage folks that maybe typically purchase in bulk or buying for a lot of people, or maybe are in that high-risk population to pre-order through our vendors on this online platform and then come and pick up those items. So there'd be no exchange of money. It would just be direct from a producer's vehicle or table straight into a customer's vehicle. And I see that there is a chat down here. So vendors that are excluded, from Allison Crowley, the vendors that are excluded at this time are pretty much everyone that doesn't offer fresh perishable agricultural products. So markets are essential under the Governor Little's stay-at-home order, but we really took a much narrower focus because of the social distancing measures we wanted to implement to ensure public safety. So normally we can accommodate, I believe, around 100 vendors or so on a normal market year. And this year we'll be actually putting space in between each of our vendors, which is really decreasing the number of vendors we can accommodate down to about half of that. I think between 45 and 50. I'd have to look at the numbers again. So that means a lot of craft vendors will not be able to participate physically at the market. even some of our value-added products, hot prepared foods, jams, jellies, that sort of thing. We started out with a pretty small contingency plan, and we've narrowed that down even more with our vendors, and we've been trying to stay up to date and communicate with folks as best as possible. But the online platform that we are looking at, it does sound like while producers and ag vendors are their primary users, it is very much a sales platform that can be used by multiple types of vendors. So we are hoping to onboard as many vendors as possible with that particular system. And we hope to develop a frequently asked question sheet. We just have been really focused on communicating with our vendors right now to let them know the plan. And then as we're solidifying and finalizing things, which everything of course is subject to change, we hope to be sharing that information with the community. One other question was, how can community members safely participate in the market and support our vendors at this time? The biggest takeaway that I can see right now is community really needs to follow the guidelines that the market is going to set in place, which means we may be limiting the number of people that can be physically inside the market footprint on Main Street. We're asking all of our vendors to follow certain protocols, gloves, masks, potentially having hand sanitizer at their booths, mostly for them and their employees. The market is taking some additional steps for initial procurement of some items to distribute with our vendors, but really sending one household member to come down and shop is going to be really key. Not chit-chatting with the vendors. I know everyone wants to be checking in with one another right now, but the market is just not that avenue to be doing that at this point in time. And really paying attention to the visual cues that the market is going to be developing. So we're going to be showing where a 6-foot distance from a vendor's booth space is, and then designating like maybe a circle waiting area for an individual, making sure that lines aren't forming at vendor booths. But the biggest thing is that we know community wants to support vendors at this point in time, but we need to do that in a safe manner and in a way that's going to be productive in the long run. And I see there's another question down here. What payment options will be available at market? So Linda, to answer your question, as many of you, I'm sure you are aware, our vendors typically run their own payment system. So some vendors only take cash and check, some of them take credit cards. The curbside pickup market, that would all be prepaid, so from the comfort of your own home, and no money would be exchanged for that particular market. For the normal Main Street market footprint, that's still at the discretion of the vendors as far as the types of payments that they'll be taking. We did put into our frequently asked questions guide to have all the vendors round up their prices to eliminate the use of coin. But I think I've covered everything that was asked of me, as well as touched on a few other things. And I'll turn it back over to Colette.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much for giving us the market update. So next we have Marci Miller from Deep Roots Farm.
Thank you. So yeah, we've been fielding so many questions, I think from so many of our customers as to how they are going to be interacting with us this season. And we're still working on it. There's so many things that are up in the air, and it just seems to be changing on a daily basis what is happening. But I appreciate Amanda working really hard on getting this online marketplace going. I think that that's going to be largely a platform that a lot of the vendors will take advantage of, especially with market opening dates and kind of questions about what might be happening there. So I want to talk a little bit just about what our farm is doing, and I know we're in conversation with several other farms in the area just about protocols for keeping food and workers and our community safe. So I wanted to just go over quickly. We do wash our produce boxes that we pack produce into, but that's going to be stepped up a little bit more this year. We would bleach them with a water and set them out in the sun, and we're going to be doing that you know, every single time that we open a box and clean that. Also using bleach on all of our work surfaces, all of our tools, asking our farm workers and for ourselves wearing masks and keeping distance. So there's Greg popping in the background. And making sure that we're keeping the distancing measure. So in our wash shed where we would be in more close contact, making sure that everybody has a designated workstation and our workflow makes the most sense for keeping distance with one another. We do always use new and unused produce bags. So we will be packaging likely more of our fresh produce this season for safety measures. So there's not contact on food. So produce bags can be disposed of when they come into your home. And we are going to be offering no contact delivery. And then whoever is the person delivering will be wearing a mask during that process and having hand sanitizer available in the vehicle that they're delivering from. We are doing prepay or online payment as much as possible. So Venmo has been our preferred payment option. And we do take cards, both at market and over the phone, as well as cash and check. But Venmo is our preferred method of payment at this point. And we are offering a CSA this year. We've expanded it. We actually added 10 additional shares this year. We've actually sold out of those in the last few days. Once we opened those up, they filled up really quick. We do offer Market Bucks, which is a prepaid kind of credit system for market. So that's something that could be paid now, and then you would work off that credit for the season. That is going to be an option for that online farmers market platform. Not for the drive-through. I don't think it'll work for the drive-through portion of it, but it would work for the no contact delivery. And there is a fee associated with the delivery, a minimal fee. And we are doing this garden plant pre-order that you can see up on your screen. That link is just a Google form. It's super simple right now because we wanted to get something up for our customers that are asking. That is pinned at the top of our Facebook page for Deep Roots Farm. So if you go to Facebook at Deep Roots Farm, that's pinned at the top there, so you can find that easily. There again, we're asking for Venmo as the preferred payment and asking for a 50% deposit on plant starts. So that's largely for plant starts at this point. And then we'll be utilizing the online marketplace local line that Amanda talked about for the rest of the season. So we're not going to be creating our own online store or anything like that. But I wanted to quickly also cover what some of the other farms that we're in contact with are offering for the season, because we are trying to change and keep up with things. So Hands and Hearts Farm here in Moscow is offering a CSA. They have 2 different size CSA shares, and they also do egg delivery. I think Sunday and Wednesday they do egg delivery, no contact delivery to your home. They also do pre-order for poultry. Affinity Farm reopened their CSA. I'm not sure the status. I think Kelly's on here. What the status is on that. Omachi Farm in Pullman is offering a CSA, as well as they are renewing their online store on their website. Wingover Farm has a farm stand on North Mountain View. Many of you know Daystar Farm, Steve Street's place on North Mountain View. There's going to be a farm store, and they'll have protocols on how to use that farm store with best practices. And Pioneer Produce over in Pullman has an online store as well. She's at Pioneer Produce Kamiak Butte for folks who are looking for that information. So And then I see a question here about EBT. So EBT, yes, we discussed this with Amanda that we're going to work with Backyard Harvest, who has been processing EBT at the market, and how we make that possible for the drive-through farmers market. So that won't be a prepaid option on the online platform, as EBT is not, you're not able to prepay for anything, but having that option on site, and Amanda could fill in any other details. Are there ways that local food system stakeholders are being supported up north that could still be used down here in Boise? Ooh, I'm not, I think Boise is kind of its own beast, so to speak. I know that their farmers market is offering a drive-through farmers market, curbside, as well as doing the limited number of folks in the market. So I think really being supported, doing things like this, getting the information out there. The city has done a wonderful job of sharing social media posts from local vendors who have information to share, and I think continuing to do that. I think Extension is also a wonderful way to connect with local food producers, and how to contact them, what's happening, how to continue to support them. So look over here. And Kelly says they do have a few shares left, so you can contact Kelly Kingsland, Affinity Farm. Amanda, I wanted to ask you maybe to fill in. Cute baby. Yeah, it's about her bedtime, so.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that.
The farm spread, I wondered if there was a way that people could access farm spread to find farmer information, producer information, and contact them directly. So that's a question for Amanda.
Yeah, so farm spread actually did have some links on the City of Moscow website that was like meet our producers, and I'm just going to try and pull up that right now to see if that's still the case for folks that are looking to just see who is on our list. The online platform will essentially function the same as like the physical market space, where you'll go to the Moscow Farmers Market, and on the back end, I'll invite all of our producers. So you'll be able to see all the producers and vendors that are with the market through that local line platform. You can filter things out if you're looking for specific things, but I'm just going to see if I can pull that up right now, if my computer will cooperate. So it looks like, yeah, if folks were to navigate to the City of Moscow website, which I know is not always user-friendly, and navigate to the Services tab, to the Farmers Market tab, we have a Patrons and Shoppers section. And we do have a Meet Our Vendors tab. Of course, it's on the vendor to put like a photo up through Farm Spread and that sort of thing, and you know, making sure their profile's as developed as possible. But we can definitely try and push this a little bit more to encourage our vendors to fill out that online platform to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I think that online farmers market platform is going to be super helpful because vendors will be able to have a little bit of flexibility on their delivery or drive-through market options. Swallowtail Flowers, who is a market favorite, is also offering a flower CSA this season. And yeah, so I think it would be really amazing for anybody who's on here, who's on social media, to go seek out your farms if they're on social media, and just start sharing their posts with your networks of people. That's how we're going to spread the word, I think, largely about what farms are doing and how we're trying to reach people, because it's really a moving target at this point. So you can support your local farmers now by sharing the information that we're putting out about how to get a hold of us.
Great. Thank you, Marci. I'd like to invite all of the panelists to go ahead and share their screens. And then if anyone that is in the audience has any other questions, I know our panelists would be happy to answer them. So I have a question while I'll give some time to see if anyone else has a question. And this is like, from your perspective, I know this is a really challenging time. Can you share like one or two things that you've seen happen that have just warmed your heart about our community and what you see as part of that glue that we all know that we feel, but usually we get to see that when we see each other face to face. So what is it that you've seen or you've experienced that's that Moscow-ness that you all know and that we all love?
Yeah, I'll go. We just got a super sweet note in the mail from a customer offering to pay ahead for people who want produce for the season, to buy a CSA share for somebody else, to pay for produce to be donated to Backyard Harvest, like a number of ways that our customers are reaching out to us. And just offering to pay it forward it's been really cool. And all the handwritten notes from people that we've been getting in the mail are also really spectacular.
Thanks. Before I go on, I think I'll ask Nikki next, but I want to say that Janice Willard says everyone is making masks, and that's pretty cool. And Kelly Kingsland says producers that she knows are actually scaling up, which is rather exciting. So those are two great things. Nikki, how about you?
Yeah, so when this first happened, I had a lot of regulars reach out to me directly through, just a text message or through Facebook, and just wanted to know how they could help. Before we had figured anything out, can we deliver for you? Would it help if we bought gift certificates? There was just immediate reaction and willingness to help, which was just huge. And then I know we've had this on a small scale, but people who want to buy gift certificates for other people. So if there was anyone in the community who could use a meal, or our employees who are laid off, if they could use a meal, then we've had people want to donate that. And I know on a larger scale, Black Cypress in Pullman had an anonymous donor for that. And here at Casa Lopez, Mitch shared with us yesterday that he had an anonymous donor for that as well. So it's just really heartwarming. And then this isn't to do with Nectar, but at the Monarch Motel, which we also own, we've had a lot of our regulars there want to pay for reservations now for in the fall, just so that we can keep some income coming in and keep going. And I know that's not necessarily Moscow people, but it's still just, that sense of community and wanting to help the local small business that just makes us just want to, it motivates us to keep going. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Nikki. Jenny?
Yeah, so I have a couple. One that I think is an example of just how engaged our community is. When we would post an update about something, we would have not multiple comments, but a handful of comments from people saying, oh, this entity is only doing this now, or can you update this? People really keep their pulse on what's going on. And rather than, picking up the phone or sending an email, they're putting it in a public forum for us to just access really quickly, and also the audience to access. And I just appreciate that. I mean, granted, the information's correct, and so that's really helpful. But I think that the majority of the community is keeping their pulse on the ever-changing and fluid environment that we're living in, and are making sure that people know what's available when there's updates. And then also Heather Nicolai, she owns Little Shop of Florals and Home and Harvest magazine, and she offered to folks that weren't able to, she's continuing with the magazine, and for folks that might not be able to financially support an ad, she was providing support at no charge. And I just think that that's really gracious, because she's running a business too, and I think everybody is trying to build up the ship together and make sure that they're helping each other out. Nikki alluded to the support that they're providing to Hunga Dunga, and I know other restaurants are doing the same thing. And I just think that those are great anecdotes of the incredible community that we have the privilege to live in.
Yeah, absolutely. Amanda, what are some of the things that you are seeing? I know that you put something in the chat, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think the support from vendors has been huge. It's definitely I definitely felt a little bit pressure at the end of last week, feeling, and I'm sure Jenny feels a little bit of this too, you know, being the head of an organization that is kind of a voice for other small businesses. And, you know, it is people's livelihoods, it is people's responsibilities. And the information I've been receiving has been so gracious, has been so understanding so far from all of the vendors. And it is something that I do take to heart. I do think about the decisions that we're making and how that's going to affect people. So I just want folks to know that we don't take these decisions lightly at all. And folks have just been really gracious with what we have been providing information-wise. And I hope that we can all continue in that graciousness. And but the farmers here, I mean, they took the lead, and it was great. And how I felt that I could best support them was let them explore the things that they wanted to explore, be in the loop. And if they felt like the market was the best place and the best entity to be moving forward and taking projects on to help them during this time, then like, so be it. And either way, if that wasn't going to be the case, we were going to be there to support and put out to the community how folks could be continuing their support during that time. And I have to just extend a kudos to Jenny as well. Those infographics have been amazing. I know we're going to be taking a page out of the Chamber's playbook with the vendors that can't physically be at market right now, making sure their contact information is up to date. What do they want to have put out to the public? How can people reach out to them? And it is a really, it's a major thing. You know, a lot of our vendors do support on that, rely on that support directly from the market. And, you know, they've been with the market for 20 plus years, and we don't want to leave them behind. So as long as everyone's willing to adapt, roll with the punches, keep giving me suggestions, I'll run down whatever path you put in front of me. But knowing that there's that sort of system and that we're not in it alone has been really huge. Colette, since no one's speaking up, I'd like to just take the time to talk about the SNAP and EBT at the market, some questions that we've been having. So at this point in time, we want people to know you cannot, if you are a SNAP or EBT recipient, you can't use that like a normal credit card. You can't put it on an online payment form. However, we do have the option for folks to select a pay later option for that online marketplace platform that we're looking at, in which case they would still need to come run their EBT card with the Backyard Harvest booth to make sure that they have those funds available and that the farmer is getting paid. And then we could easily radio or just let the farmer know or whoever know that that order has been paid for and that they're coming over to pick it up. And then there were some questions on the chat about how are folks working with local food banks during this time. I know there's been a lot of pop-up food banks. I know my AmeriCorps member with the farmers market has been volunteering her time as her service has been disrupted with the Moscow Food Bank. And the food banks have had a working partnership with Backyard Harvest for quite some time now, where produce donations do make it to the food bank when they are in season. And that relationship, I'm sure, will continue as we move forward. But yeah, just letting folks know that we still have some systems in place that I imagine will just be even more important to continue those relationships.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for answering those questions in the chat. I did have a conversation with Ashley with the Community Action Center also last week, and they actually do have some funding to buy from local farms, and those farms do not have to be located within Washington State. And so I know that they'll be reaching out as well to be able to provide fresh food to their clientele. So we have a couple more questions, and one of those is, do you know if Backyard Harvest needs volunteers? So as far as I know, Backyard Harvest always needs volunteers. And the best thing that you could do would be to go to their website and contact them directly about how you could volunteer this year. But I do know that that organization, one of the reasons it is so effective is because of the thousands of hours that people from our community volunteer every year. Let's see, we had one more question. Are there any new ways that a local co-op could support small farms or local food at their core level during the COVID-19 that hasn't been done enough at this point? So I'm not really clear about what local co-op you're talking about, or if you're talking about maybe developing a new co-op, but let's go ahead and broaden the question. So do you see other ways, has anything else come to mind in the way that people could support local food during this time?
I mean, I think I come back to some of the things that I covered is reaching out to the farms. You know, is it paying forward for somebody else to have access to local produce? Is it a CSA share? Is it, you know, an egg subscription? Is it, you know, some way that maybe you're buying garden starts for your whole neighborhood or something like that? You know, we're all, I think, gearing up for another very busy season, but trying to do a little bit extra because we know that people have an exceptional interest in growing food this season. And so I think that those are some of the ways that you can continue to support local food. Just stay tuned. I think we're all still trying to figure this out and the best way to make it happen. So like what Nikki said, like people are supporting us pre any decision being made. And so just stay tuned and stick with us because we'll do our best to get the information out as to how you can support farms this year.
Thank you. We just have a couple minutes left, so I'd like to give the other panelists as well. Do you have any other comments you would like to share or anything you would like to say as a wrap up for tonight's program?
I do have something that I feel like I should just stress. I love this slideshow that you put together, Colette, and in particular, there was a photo, an aerial shot of some folks sort of rummaging through produce. And I just want to make it very clear that like, that is not happening this year at all. That normal, I'm gonna go pick out the peach that I want to bring home, or cherries or you know, onions and cucumbers. I mean, that normal is really gone at this point in time. And so I just can't stress enough that as we develop those protocols, not just for our vendors, but for our customers to come and participate in market, to follow those things to a T, to make this successful and to make it so we can have a farmer's market this year, because it's not just on the vendors, it's on the participation from the community and following those rules in place. So you'll just have to eye the best cucumber and kind of direct your farmer's hand like a little game or something and tell them that's the one I want. So just hopefully everyone can work through what we develop.
Yeah. Thank you, Amanda. That's a great point. Jenny or Nikki, do you have any? Oh, go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah, if I may. You know, I focused on local restaurants and grocery store outlets. Just for anybody that's listening tonight, if you need help with other platforms, lenders, SBA guidance, we really are a resource for our entire community. Some of the information can be rather complex, and so we just want you to know that we're here for you. And we'll continue to be here. If we don't answer the phone, please leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Email us and follow our website. We just want the community to know that we're still advocating and making sure that you're familiar with the resources that are out there.
Thank you.
I would just say, as far as local restaurants go, Moscow's a very seasonal town, so we depend a lot on the university and their events there for, you know, how successful we are. And spring is actually our busiest time of the year. So there's a lot of university events that didn't happen this year that you know usually bring us a lot of business. So I would just say, when this is over, because no matter how many loans we get or how much help we get, will never make up for that lost revenue of spring sales. So if you're able, and when you're able, when this is all over, just, you know, try to go out in droves to support your local restaurants and just kind of help make up that difference a little bit, if you can. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank all four of you. You are amazing people who are doing amazing things for our community, and we really appreciate the work that you do individually, and also how committed you are to the success of the other farmers, the other businesses, to our community as a whole, and all the steps that you're taking to keep our community safe. And we know that sometimes that's hard and it's challenging, and we just really appreciate your being out there at the forefront and being really innovative and willing to share and come on tonight and talk to our community about how they can support you and how they can support other farmers and businesses that are bringing food to our tables. We've had a lot of great comments in the chat, with other people also saying that they really appreciate tonight's program and all the work you're doing. So again, thank you very much. Thanks for your time and for joining us. Great. So I am just going to share one more slide. And let me put that into a larger slideshow. So I am hoping that you're seeing through the slideshow that I'm clicking through. I'm sorry it didn't come up on the slide that I wanted. So here I just wanted to show you where you'll be able to find the webinar recording, and that's here at the cultivatingsuccess.org website. And Cultivating Success is a program of University of Idaho Extension and the nonprofit Rural Roots. And we also have a lot of other resources that we have put up on that website that you can use if you're looking for resources around COVID-19 for community gardeners, consumers, and other businesses. And then we will be posting more events on the U of I Extension Small Farms and Local Food page. And next month we plan to do our second Wednesday speaker series again online, and we'll be talking about pollinators. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and I hope that you have a really great evening. Thank you again.